Let's start with the risk module. This is where you model scenarios, estimate potential losses, and test the impact of different control plans, all built around this concept that this module influences and is updated by the other modules. So within the risk module here, you're able to build multiple individual risk models. So if you want to assess risk for each department within your company or business unit, you can. All of that information can get aggregated under our portfolio risk tab, which takes all of that information and creates a model of models. This is immensely powerful so that you can get down to a level of granularity that's commensurate with the risk for your business. So while you may just have one risk model, if you're a smaller company, as a larger organization, you may want to assess the risk of multiple parts or teams within the company. Each model then is equipped with a number of different inputs. Things like our risk model diagrammer that helps you understand and address how we look at the different views and data for how it flows within your organization. All of that information that we put in below is actually reflected here so that you can rearrange it. You can also start your risk modeling process by just drawing a diagram and have all of that information auto-populate below. We also offer a journal to be able to track different outstanding activities. Are there issues or things that you need to follow up on, or different teams that you need to help with? All of this is powered by our social commentary and notification system as well, so that you can tag users for following up, addressing issues, and holding your team accountable to make sure that your risks are always quantified. Available too, looking at different variables and surfaces for the type of data and information. And of course, it can go at whatever level of granularity we want. Our threats are our individual scenarios that we want to keep an eye on. And of course, if you're having trouble thinking of all the types of threats, our awesome Generate Scenarios tab can create all of the permutations that exist across the board so that you can assess every kind of risk. Finally, within our controls, we have the ability to track all kinds of information like owners, evidence. We also assess how well that control is functioning, looking at things like the control type. Is it detective, preventive, reactive? What type of maturity is that? Or how rolled out is it across the organization? All of that information influences how well that actually mitigates the threats that it's mapped to. Even better, we're able to track costs for those controls so that you can keep an eye on your budget, both one-time costs and recurring costs. All of that is factored into the risk model so that you understand your losses even based on your costs. Within our mapping tab, you have the ability to track which of our threats map against which controls. So since every control type can't mitigate every type of threat, for example, having good locks on your doors at your office building doesn't help mitigate ransomware, you can track that in here. Even better, we'll give you recommendations for how those controls might map to those threats to make it easy for you. Our paths are immensely powerful to be able to understand how different types of controls could influence your risk. So if you're in budget season and trying to vie for which controls may actually give you the best benefit, you can map that all in here. And you can show that if you come back the following year and ask for another $1 million added to your budget, you can show how that may have an impact or return on security investment. All of our paths always include our peer risk benchmarks, so that you always know where your peers are sitting in the industry. Is your company sitting at or below where your peers are? Or is your investment for your upcoming budget enough to put you above your peers? Finally, in our Quantify section, we have the ability to really get into the data and understand how it's working. So we can look at things like loss magnitude based on our peer risk benchmarks data, which always autofills, but you can always come in and adjust this accordingly. We also have the ability to look at our loss event frequency. So how often do we think this is going to happen? All of that data then gets compounded and calculated and brought out into this main dashboard, which starts to give us a ton of data, looking at how our peers are doing over a 10-year period, or our basic controls, or if we could get advanced controls, or if we had no controls, where does that sit us for our organization? We also give all this data as huge outputs within a table, and of course, you can export all of this data. Even better, you can add comments for notes. Just remember what you did and why you accepted the risk a certain way. All of that information ultimately means that every estimate is backed by real world data, and every decision is quantified in dollars. This is what real cyber risk prioritization looks like, not gut feels and not what you heard at a conference, but real data.